The most dangerous surveillance company in the world isn't some shadowy government operation. It's one with a catered cafeteria and stock options. Palantir Technologies has been quietly building the nervous system of modern state power for 2 decades, and recently, some of its own employees started using a word that rarely appears in company Slack channels: fascism. Palantir was founded in 2003 with a simple, terrifying premise: take all the data, immigration records, financial transactions, phone metadata, surveillance footage, and connect the dots. The company built tools that let governments see patterns across oceans of information. ICE used it to locate undocumented immigrants. The Pentagon used it to track insurgents. The line between helpful and ominous turns out to be a matter of who you're pointing it at. When employees at a company known for secrecy start leaking internal discussions about a descent into fascism, something has shifted. Workers describe leadership growing closer to federal power structures, celebrating contracts that others saw as tools of suppression. These weren't protesters outside the building. These were engineers who built the thing, now watching what it was becoming. History offers uncomfortable precedents. IBM didn't set out to enable genocide. It supplied punch-card sorting systems to Nazi Germany that helped categorize and locate Jewish populations with bureaucratic efficiency. The engineers probably told themselves they were selling a product, not a political project. Technology doesn't have a conscience, but the people who deploy it do. And so do the people who build it. Data is the new infrastructure of authority. Think of it like a city's water system, useful for everyone when it flows freely, but control the pipes and you control who drinks. Palantir built incredibly sophisticated pipes. The question its employees are now asking is, who controls the valves? And what happens when the answer is someone you wouldn't have voted for? Fascism, stripped of its World War II imagery, is simpler than people think. It's the merger of state power and corporate power, aimed at control rather than service. The employees using that word weren't necessarily calling their CEO a dictator. They were naming a dynamic, a company bending toward power, and power getting better at bending the company back. There's a concept in ethics called the banality of evil. Hannah Arendt's observation that atrocities are carried out not by monsters, but by ordinary bureaucrats doing ordinary jobs. The tech industry has produced its own version, the banality of scale. You write the feature. You ship the update. You don't think about the 3 a.m. immigration raid that ran on your commit. Palantir is not an anomaly, it's a preview. Every major tech company faces the same gravitational pull: government contracts are lucrative, compliance is profitable, and friction costs money. The employees speaking out are identifying the precise moment a company crosses from building tools to operating infrastructure for power. That crossing rarely comes with an announcement. It comes with a Slack message nobody was supposed to see. The employees who spoke up aren't heroes yet, and they may not end up being. But what they did is technically correct in the oldest sense: naming a thing gives you power over it. The shape of 21st century authoritarianism isn't jackboots and rallies. It's a beautiful API, a clean dashboard, and a contractual obligation to not ask questions. Naming that is where resistance begins. Strip away the ideology and 3 things remain: data is infrastructure is leverage, and leverage doesn't care who holds it. Palantir didn't invent surveillance, it industrialized it, made it scalable, made it normal. The employees who leaked weren't exposing a conspiracy, they were describing a process that happens inside every tech company that gets big enough to matter. A company bends toward power because power pays. The tools get more capable. The contracts get harder to turn down. And somewhere along the way, the distance between building software and operating the machinery of control quietly disappears. What those engineers named, that's the actual product. What strikes us isn't that some engineers finally said the word. It's that it took this long, and that most of their colleagues stayed quiet. We don't think the silent ones are villains. We think they're people with mortgages and unvested stock and a very human talent for believing that their particular piece of the machine is the harmless one. And honestly, we're not sure we do better. Which is what makes this hard to sit with. If the architecture of 21st century authoritarianism is built by people who consider themselves thoughtful, ethical, and basically decent, what does that say about the value of considering yourself thoughtful, ethical, and basically decent?